If you've ever worked with RxJS, you know just how powerful it can be. But have you ever stopped to wonder what's really going on under the hood when you create a stream? Well, today we're going to pull back that curtain and look at the secret life cycle that powers every single observable. But first, let's start with a question that might feel a little personal. Have you ever noticed your app getting slower and slower over time? Maybe the memory usage just keeps creeping up and you have no idea why. Well, you might just have a zombie problem. And this is exactly what we mean by zombie work. It's that background process, right? That timer, that event listener that you were sure was gone, but nope, it's secretly still running, just eating up your resources. The classic signs are a laggy UI, that memory graph going up and to the right, and just weird, unpredictable stuff happening. So to solve this whole zombie problem, we first need to get to know the three core components, the main characters really, that make up every single RxJS stream. Let's meet the players. First up, we've got the observable. Now, the absolute best way to think about this is like it's a blueprint for a factory's conveyor belt. It has all the plans, right? It knows how to create and send packages down the line. But here's the key. At this point, nothing is moving. It's just a set of instructions waiting for someone to hit the on switch. Next, of course, is the observer. This is our worker at the very end of that conveyor belt. And the observer is basically an object with three very specific jobs, or handlers. It has a plan for what to do with the next package that arrives, a plan for what to do if there's a critical error that shuts everything down, and a plan for when the line just completes its work normally. And finally, we have the subscription. This is the magic piece that connects the blueprint to the worker. This is you walking up and pushing that big green on button for the conveyor belt. The subscription is what kicks off the entire flow. And just as important, it's what gives us the big red off button, that crucial unsubscribe method. So here's the most important takeaway from all that. An observable, all by itself, does absolutely nothing. It's lazy by design. Nothing happens until you explicitly call subscribe and create that subscription. That is the exact moment the whole system roars to life. Okay, so the stream is active, values are flying down the conveyor belt, but how does it actually communicate? Well, it uses a very strict, very simple language that's made up of just three distinct signals. And this is it. This is the entire vocabulary of an RxJS stream. Next says, hey, here's a value for you. Error screams, something went terribly wrong, we're shutting down now. And complete calmly says, okay, that's all folks, we're done here. And this right here highlights probably the most important rule in the entire RxJS contract. A stream can send 0 next notifications or it can send 1,000,000, but it must end with exactly one terminal event. It will either error out or it will complete successfully. It can never, ever do both. All right, let's get to the real heart of this explainer. This is how we prevent those zombies we were talking about. This one concept is what separates clean, efficient code from leaky, buggy messes. This is it. Teardown. Think of it as the cleanup crew. It's the logic that makes sure all the resources get released. When a stream ends, and it doesn't matter if you unsubscribe, or if it completes, or if it errors, the teardown function is your absolute guarantee that everything that stream was using gets properly shut down. Now, take a look at this code. What's really fascinating here is what's missing. We've set up an observable that starts an interval timer. Simple enough. But look closely. There's no cleanup logic. So if someone subscribes to this and then unsubscribes later, that set interval is just going to keep ticking away in the background forever. And boom, you've just created a zombie. And here is the fix. And honestly, it's so simple, it's beautiful. By just returning a function from our observables constructor, we're giving RxJS the teardown logic it needs. Now, when that subscription ends for any reason, RxJS automatically calls this function for us, it clears the interval, and the leak is prevented. We've given our stream a proper stop button. So that's great for simple observables. But what happens when we start using operators? You know, the real workhorses of RxJS to build these complex change streams. How does the golden rule of teardown apply then? So operators are just functions that sit in the middle of a stream. They take one observable in, and they spit a new one out. But they're not magic. They are designed from the ground up to respect the exact same protocol, the same rules we've been talking about. Let's use a classic example to really see this in action. Imagine we have a source stream interval that just spits out a new number every single second forever. If we just subscribe to this, it's an infinite stream. It's never going to stop.
Now, we're going to pipe that stream through the take operator. We're telling it, hey, listen, I am only interested in the first 3 values you emit. After that, I'm done.
So as soon as that third value comes through, take 3, does 2 incredibly important things. First, it sends a complete signal to our final observer downstream saying the job is done. But second, and this is the brilliant part, it turns around and unsubscribes from the source interval upstream. That single action triggers the source's own teardown logic, stopping the timer dead in its tracks and preventing any zombie work. It's beautiful. When you put all of these pieces together, it gives you a much more powerful way to think about writing reactive code. You start to realize it's not just about using a library, it's about respecting a protocol. Look, these aren't just suggestions. They're the fundamental contract of RxJS. Every single well-behaved observable and operator plays by these rules. And honestly, respecting this protocol is the difference between writing resilient, predictable apps and fighting an army of invisible zombies. And that's why this quote is so perfect. When you start thinking in terms of this protocol, this set of rules for starting, communicating, and cleaning up, you can finally harness the real power of RxJS safely. You see operators not just as things that change values, but as named policies that manage the entire life cycle of a stream. So, at the end of the day, the life cycle of a stream is a complete story. It has a beginning, a middle, and a very, very clear end. By understanding and respecting that full life cycle, from the moment you subscribe all the way to teardown, you get the power to build applications that are clean, efficient, and completely zombie-free. The only question left is, what zombies will you hunt in your code?